it's Lisa. I have this 2-pager that I have had out, sort of laid out around my craft space for months, maybe a year, I don't know. Actually, it can't be a year because these photographs were taken last summer. So sometime probably in the early fall, I got this out, sort of made a plan for it, and then never did it. I did lots of the other pages for this trip, but I just never did this one. I had all these Gelli prints that I thought about using in some way like this, maybe cutting that up and using, or using a larger amount of that one, or cutting them up in some kind of design. And I had this particular die cut that I thought would be a really great part of the background. So what I finally decided to do was to use this and to cut 2 of them, one for each page, and then maybe cut some of the Gelli plates into squares that would go in place of these squares, and then just sort of put the photos in different places around, because this is all telling the story about going mini golfing, and these squares and how they intersect I think works really well for a mini golf course. The challenge, though, I just had when I went to my computer to look up this image so I could tell you this was something I got from the Silhouette store or this is something I drew, I can't find it. I thought sure that I did this using the Sure Cuts a Lot software and I created it myself, but I can't find it. I can't find it there, and I'm not finding it in my Silhouette software, but I'm going to go back and look again. So one way or another, I'm going to do this. I may have to redraw it again, but I want something like this. And I could just use it as it is and mist over it or ink over it or something and use it like a stencil and not worry about recreating it, but I think it would really be good as a die cut layer. Now my next challenge is paper. I like the green background. I could switch to a different background, but I like the green background and I like a tone-on-tone kind of look. I don't have, though, the perfect green color here in 12 by 12. So when I do this, I'm probably going to have to cut it in 2 pieces for each one and piece that together. With the photos and everything laying over, I don't think that's going to be that noticeable. So it'll be a little more aggravation to cut, but otherwise I don't think that'll be a big problem. The challenge, though, is I have to find this image. So we're going to do this page with lots of photos. They'll be scattered out. We'll have some journaling on there. And my title is definitely have fries with that, because we got food before we did the mini golf, and my husband just thought those French fries were the best thing in the world. So this was a place that was friends of my stepdaughters out in Branson, Missouri. So I want to celebrate this page with a look that gives me a mini golfing look, and hopefully I'll find the right die cut. I have other things from Silhouette I could use, but now that I can't find it, I'm very determined to find it and get that one back in my collection. So I'll put this aside once again until I locate it, and so we'll be doing this page hopefully in the next few days. Well, I found my design. I did indeed create this, but I created it in the Silhouette software, not the Sure Cuts a Lot software. And I haven't added it to my library, I just have it saved as a regular file. So since I found it, I went ahead and cut one for this page, and I've cut one for this page. What I did was just resize it down to no more than 11 inches so that it would fit on an 11-inch long sheet, and then the rest that's hanging over, I just put another sheet of paper to kind of finish filling this out from the same cardstock, and then it's going to be pieced. And that's what I have done here, is I just have it in some little pieces, and I will just glue these together. And I think with the other photos and things laying over the top, you won't really notice that, because I just didn't have any other green cardstock that I liked with this background nearly as much as this garden green cardstock from Stampin' Up. And I had a lot of this garden green, so this was a good use for it. So I'm going to go ahead and take this off of the mat. When you're doing something like this, if you're piecing together and cutting across this, you want a pretty sticky mat. It doesn't have to be super, super sticky, but it can't be one that's on its last legs. You've got to be able to keep those papers together so the blade doesn't get caught as it goes across them. But I didn't have any trouble with it. And we'll go ahead and peel this off and then start putting our different layers on here, getting my Gelli prints and stuff on. I'm going to get all of this peeled off, and I decided just to leave these the same design on each side. I could have flipped them around, maybe done a mirror image, but I just kept the design exactly the same on the left-hand page and on the right-hand page. And I'm using my ruler to help me get things lined up and keep them straight, and putting a little bit of glue behind some of the squares because I want to slip some jelly prints in behind some of these outlines. Just being careful to line everything up, and I was correct in the end. I didn't pay any attention to where the lines came together. The seam just didn't bother me at all, so I think the piecing worked fine. And I'm sorting through the jelly prints and deciding there's maybe 4 or 5 there that I think work well color-wise with what I'm doing. I decided to keep this all in blues and greens, even though there are some other colors in the photos, and I'll pull those out when we get to the titling. So I just cut some squares out of the different jelly prints, and I'm slipping some in behind and then gluing a few on top. This is kind of random, not worrying too much about where the photos are going to end up and what they're going to cover up, just, you know, trying to get an attractive looking background. So everything's glued on here, and I'm going to put the photo over on the far right, and I'll have the title next to that. And that one photo there that has the name of the place that we were, I'm going to trim that down. And I've got a little room for the journaling in between the top 2 photos over on the left-hand page. And I want to add just a couple more squares of jelly prints to sort of finish things off and balance it out. And then we can start putting some photos down and finding some titling and embellishment for this page. The title's kind of a long one, but I have some thickers that are they're sort of a corally red color. They don't often go with a lot of different things, and I think I can use quite a few of those. But I want the word fries to really stand out, and I didn't have anything in very large letters that worked, so I went to my scrap chipboard bin here that just has everything by letter and just a bunch of extras that I have, and they're not going to all be the same font, but we're going to do that big pretty F. That was the Wilna font from Basic Gray years and years and years ago. I loved it. I only had 1 pack of that. And we'll put the rest of these letters in here. Now some of them have a covering, so I'm just peeling that off. You want to do this real carefully with a craft knife. And then, so I have all of the same texture there with the raw chipboard, and what I'm going to use to color them is my jelly plate, and rather than painting them, I'm just going to press them onto the jelly plate and get some color on them that way. And I'm using the small square jelly plate. This is one of the Gelli minis, and I had to experiment for a while before I found an arrangement that looked good, or color grouping that looked good with these. I had too little color on and too much color in times, so eventually I found a combo here of the blue and turquoise color that I thought looked good, and I just stuck with the same stencil all the way through. But this is an easy way to get paint onto letters, is to press them face down onto a jelly plate. And that F looked really, really good, but having it a mixture of light and dark color and it being kind of a thin letter, it didn't end up showing up well in the background. So I ended up going back over that later on with a little bit more paint. Yes, it's not looking too hot. It's got to have some more paint on it. And to further help them stand out, I'm just using a black marker to go around the edges. This happens to be a Stampin' Up marker, but it could be any kind of marker. The Stampin' Up one has that nice brush tip, and it's really easy to get the edges coated really well. So I just put quite a bit of black ink around the edges, and then they really popped, since it's sort of blue-green laying on green background. Now I've rated every paper clip I have because I'm looking to add a few paper clips and some small embellishments. I didn't really have a large embellishment. I picked out something in the Silhouette store for mini golfing, but I don't know, I just didn't feel like I wanted that look. I thought that I could use some of my stickers, and in this case some paper that I can punch out to find some words relevant to what we were doing, and just use some of the cute stuff that I already had in my stash. These are like little bottle caps, but the words on them, relax and you are here, or things like that, I think work well for some of these photos. So I put one on each of the photos, or most of the photos. I had some numbers there, like the numbers of the hole and all that, but I didn't end up using those very much. I think that was a crepe paper from a couple of years ago. And grab a few of these paper clips. That little green one there in the middle came off of something that somebody sent me in the mail. I think it wasn't a scrapbooking thing, it was just an office supply thing. And I needed something to ground them, so I punched some circles out of the back side of that paper. Was a pretty stripe. The first circles I punched were too small though, and I went back and did some larger ones and used those to kind of ground the embellishments. This layout was not originally part of my series on using Gelli prints for your backgrounds, but it sort of fit into that after all. And now we have a group 3 embellishments and groupings going across, and we'll look at some close-ups of this. I used a few stickers also, and I put stickers on there to get the date and a kind of empty spot down there at the bottom of the page. So thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, I hope you'll leave me a thumbs up. And if you'd like more videos, more detailed videos, I have several classes. You can find a link to more information at the bottom in the description for this video. Thanks so much for watching.